All right, hi everyone. We're so excited for you all to be here.
Welcome to the 2024 GRAMMY U Fall Summit.
I'm Sam Kopek, your GRAMMY U National Projects Representative based in Miami, Florida. Any Floridians out there?
Oh, okay. And I am Della Anderson, the GRAMMY U National Membership Representative based right here in Nashville, Tennessee. Thanks, guys.
And we'll be your hosts tonight. We're so excited for this event, and we've been planning it since August to make sure this is the best GRAMMY U Fall Summit yet.
We know you are all so hyped, and we cannot wait to hear from our amazing panelists, so let's get this started.
And now, please welcome GRAMMY U Managing Director, Jesse Allen.
What's up, everybody? It is incredible to be here in Nashville doing our Fall Summit for the second time. We loved it last year. We had to come back. What a special day this is to be having an incredible moment with panelists and then ending the day with Charlie and Troy. I mean, wow, what an incredible moment. I just want to thank you all for being here, for supporting, for being members. We really are trying to make content and moments and opportunities that speak to you. For those of you tuning into the live stream, thank you for watching wherever you are. We want to make sure that these are accessible to all of our members, whether you're able to be with us in person or you can't. This is for all of you. So I want to thank a few people before we get going. First of all, thanks to everyone here who came to our showcase yesterday and our amazing performers. We had Girl Named Tom, we had Kiara, we had Millie Manny. So our own members were able to perform, and it was a truly beautiful moment. We had a great networker. A thank you to all of our special mentors who were there talking to everyone. We had our photo opportunities, and we're just excited to be back for night two. I want to give a big thank you also to the Nashville chapter who were partners last night and are based here, GRAMMY U members, lots of Nashville chapter members here. We want to thank our participating sponsor, who is Amazon Music. Of course, our partners internally, the S&C Wing, who were collaborators with us on the Charlie and Troy keynote panel later. And the biggest thank you of all is to MasterCard for presenting this moment. Please give it up for MasterCard. MasterCard has believed in our vision for so many years now, and to have our partnership grow in this way and culminate in a night like this, it is just something that support, we just can't thank them enough. I would say it's priceless support. So with that being said, I want to bring out somebody really special to us who really cares about GRAMMY U, and we are so grateful for our partnership with them. Please give a warm welcome to the VP of Global Sponsorships at MasterCard, who leads the music and entertainment partnerships, LaToya Bennett-Johnson.
Thank you, Jessie. Hello, everyone. I won't be before you long, but thanks again. Yes, my name is LaToya Bennett-Johnson. I run entertainment partnerships at MasterCard, and we are so proud to be a presenting sponsor tonight. Jessie took the words out of my mouth with priceless. I have to say it one more time because that is where I work. It truly is priceless to have this opportunity. And I think for MasterCard, it's really important to give opportunities for everyone to experience passion experiences. So if we think about sports, music, arts, culinary, all those things are ways to express your passion and live them out loud. When we think about music, we've done that so many different ways across the globe. And one of those ways is with the Grammys and our partnership there for over 16 years, which is, I mean, I'm obviously only like a year older than me, super young. And then in addition to the Grammys partnership, we've also worked with the Brits, the Latin Grammys, and as well as a new partnership we have with Ones to Watch. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about ways that you can get involved in working with us. I know I met a couple of folks here yesterday. I can't see your faces, but there were so many questions about as someone who's an aspiring artist, how can I get myself out there? How can I get partnerships with brands? So I think one of the ways we're trying to do that is we're working with emerging artists in all of these different partnerships, and one of them is with the Artist Accelerator program. So if you go out in the front, on your way out, you can see there are ways to mint a music pass, and when you do that, you're given access to some interesting and exciting concerts with 5 emerging artists that we're working with as part of the Artist Accelerator program. And one of them is actually Brooke Alex. I know I met a couple of folks who knew Brooke personally. So if you weren't here last night, one of the things I'd love to do for you is something we like to call a priceless surprise. So everyone that's here tonight is getting complimentary access to Brooke Alex's Nashville stop on her tour, courtesy of MasterCard. So feel free to give it up for that. Absolutely. And absolutely learn more about the Artist Accelerator program. We're really passionate about giving opportunities for artists to inspire and connect each other. All of you are mini CEOs and small business owners in your own right. And I take it as a personal challenge to give you every single opportunity to reach your greatest opportunity. So again, I know I want to continue with the panel and the concerts. I'm LaToya Bennett Johnson on behalf of MasterCard and myself. Welcome and enjoy the event. Thanks.
Thanks, LaToya. All right, everyone, it's now time to introduce our first panel.
Of course, we all know how Charlie and Troy have taken over all of our feeds this summer. Today, we're going to learn how that came to be from their songwriting process to marketing an album.
Tonight, we are starting with a panel entitled #Trendsetters, Creating Impactful Music Marketing Campaigns. This will be a conversation about innovative PR and album marketing strategies and how to engage fans through your music.
We love to introduce our moderator for today's panel. He has also previously worked as the marketing manager for Monument Records / Sony Music and ran his own entertainment event management company working with clients such as American Idol and CMT.
He is also near and dear to our hearts at the Academy as he used to work as the South Region Membership and Industry Relations Team. Now he's the Director of Operations at Songfluencer. Please welcome Nathan Pyle.
Hello, hello. Welcome to the 2024 GRAMMY U Summit presented by MasterCard. Who's ready to get the party started? Woo! All right. Well, I also want to give a shout out to everybody that is tuned in onto the live stream as well. I am thrilled to be here to be kicking off this event where we're going to do a deep dive into behind the scenes of how we ensure the best music is on your radar. So let's meet our panelists today who will be giving you the inside scoop about marketing in the music industry. First up, Erica Buchi. Erica is the Vice President of VP of Marketing Partners at mtheory, where she spent the last 7 years specializing in DSP, partnerships, and digital marketing strategy. Her passion is enhancing artist visibility and engagement. Hi, Erica. Next up, we have Fred Rubenstein. There it was, Fred. Fred is VP of Digital Marketing at Sony Music Nashville, where he co-leads innovative digital marketing strategies for artists like Luke Combs and Kane Brown. Hey, Fred. Last but not least, Bree Small. Bree is the Director of Digital Content and Strategy in Partnerships at Warner Music Nashville, where she has spent 6 years enhancing interactive marketing, digital partnerships, and creator marketing. All right, let's get into it. My first question for you guys. Can each of you share some special marketing campaigns within the industry you've worked on recently? What do you think made those campaigns unique work? And Erica, I'm going to start with you.
Okay, my mic is on. Okay, so I obviously have to start with Jelly Roll. Who knows Jelly Roll? Yeah. If you don't, you will soon, probably, somewhere. I think for us, Jelly Roll's a really special one for the mtheory team. We started working with him shortly after he released Save Me, and it was something where he's really trying to enter the country format. And I think throughout the campaign, it's really been special because we've really tried to make sure that we're keeping him, you know, authentic, and we're not trying to manufacture anything. And I think that's so important to work with people that, you know, really make sure that you can be your authentic self. So that's one I think I'm really proud of right now. And Beautifully Broken is out October 11th. A quick plug.
Yeah, two records recently that were super special. Luke Combs' most recent record, Fathers and Sons, just a really special, unique album for Luke, a story he really wanted to tell and get out there. So everything from the way we approached it to how he recorded it to how we marketed it online and in person was just super special, and just wanted to make sure it was very authentic to the message he was trying to tell, and just doing justice for that record. And then also Megan Moroney's most recent record. Amazing, really just talk about a lot more tonight, but just transcended a lot of really awesome moments online. And yeah, just really lucky to work with a bunch of amazing artists this summer.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go a little bit of a different direction here in terms of talking about a legacy artist, which some of you may know him, some of you may not, but if you know Randy Travis, give me a good woo. Okay, wait, that's more than I thought. Okay, that's great. It's like far other generations, but really, really exciting project. He, I don't know if you guys know, unfortunately suffered a stroke way back when, several years ago, and lost his ability to speak and therefore to sing. And so our company, shout out Warner Music Nashville, embarked on a journey to explore what does AI look like for good. There's a lot of talk about AI in our industry, and a lot of it about artist integrity and creative integrity, and how do we keep that intact. And so Randy Travis, along with many other artists in this, took to the studio, and we had a stunt singer, and they went through and perfectly matched his vocals to this new track, and he was part of the entire creative process. That stemmed all the way down to going to Capitol Hill and vouching for some really incredible bills to help support artists. And it was really incredible to be part of a project that touched not only the country music industry, but kind of created conversation overall within music to see what that looks like, again, for good. But that was really fun.
Thanks, Bree. All right. Now that we've kind of gone down this journey of talking about artists and then their albums, right? In terms of marketing an artist's album, what role do you play in that process? And Bree, I'm going to start with you.
Yeah, so just to talk a little bit more about my role, because it's kind of changed over the years. I've been at Warner Nashville, like we said, for 6 years. And my role started very much so like in the trenches, in the front lines, and any other like things that we get made fun of in the music industry for using like war-themed words when it's not that serious. But working with artists directly and connecting to fans online. So that includes everything from social media strategy, email marketing, SMS. I dabbled in paid media strategy, all of those things. And my new role as of just almost 2 years ago is specifically focused on, we saw a new opportunity on how we can focus more time on how we can get artists reach beyond their own platforms. So I work a lot with creators and creative partnerships, digital partners like Meta, TikTok, Snap, to secure editorial looks for our artists there. And then I also work on things in the digital press space, working with our publicity team on podcasts and digital series and shows like that. So my part of the process, sure, is planned a bit in terms of working with the artist before their release comes out, but more importantly, also after the release comes out. And I might be working on a brand new project that's coming up, and then a track from a year ago starts to go viral, and my attention has to shift to that because we have to capitalize on that moment with those partners, getting them looks now that they're having a moment, launching a creator campaign to help support the moment. So it's really, really being nimble. So I come part of the process depending on where I'm asked to be, really. So.
Awesome. Fred?
Yeah. So I co-lead a really awesome marketing team of folks leaned in both in the traditional physical space and more on the digital side. And I really help across the full roster, right? So looking of where we should be digitally, what are we trying to do to help move our artists forward? What new platforms should we be on? And really helping to suss those out and taking from my experience of being in the driver's seat, like those project leads are now, and just understanding what makes sense for an artist, what learnings can we take from there. We focus a lot on data. Are you signing up with email lists, SMS type of things? Gaming we lean a lot into as well, website development. So really as much as I can across the front line, I like to be involved or advise as the team really needs. Again, really fortunate to have an awesome team that knows what they're doing, but being there to help push them forward more and kind of ideate better and be creative with the internet. We really like to say, there's a lot of options out there, we can do everything, but how do we make the internet work for that specific artist, and what are the pieces that we need to put together in that, that sphere. So yeah, advertising, paid media, website development, overseeing social content and calendars. So really everything in the day-to-day sense, but again, just a really, really fortunate to work alongside a great team.
Thanks.
Yeah, so my role at mtheory, which for anyone that doesn't know, mtheory is an artist management services company. So basically, we work with artist managers. They bring us on board to kind of be an extension of their artist manager team. So my piece of that, I'm on the digital team, so we cover kind of a lot of the things that they were discussing, but I think my core purpose at mtheory is DSP relationships, which are those digital service providers, Amazon Music, Spotify, Apple Music, etc. So I work on cultivating relationships, looking for opportunities for our artists, as well as just kind of, I've been with mtheory almost 7 years now, so definitely have done a lot of roles within the company. So being a mentor, consulting, so a little bit of everything.
Great. Well, why I wanted to ask these questions and kind of set the tone is more or less everybody here has a hand in what we call the digital space to a degree. And a lot of the business side, right, of album releases, right, go and circle around more heavily in the digital space than, in probably 10, 20 years ago, right? And so that is kind of going to lead me into this third question here. How do you define disruption in the music marketing landscape? What are some key elements you keep in mind when trying to make something truly stand out? Erica, I'm going to start with you on that one.
I think kind of the point that Bree was saying about pivoting, and I think there's an element of authenticity. I think there's really not an exact formula. We were sharing backstage, like, if I had the exact formula, I'd be rich. Like, I know all the answers to everything. So I think it's kind of following the lead of fans as being tastemakers is a big piece of it. That's sort of being a disruptor, because you're literally using the fans, the audience that you're trying to reach, to sort of inform what the plan is. That disrupts the plan. We work for weeks on plans, months on plans, and it doesn't always work out that way. And you have to pivot and be flexible. So like what you like as a consumer matters, and as a team, you want to be with a team that's willing to pivot with you. So I guess that's a way of disrupting, is making sure that you're flexible.
I'm going to capitalize on that, or kind of take off from there, of just, we like to be ready for what's going to happen tomorrow. We can't plan for everything. Everything's changing at the speed of light online. Every 2 seconds, there's a new platform, there's a new idea, there's a new trend. We can't predict the future, otherwise, again, we'd be very rich. So the best we can do is be prepared for that, and listen to what the fans want, and not to be too cute at times, but to be smart and intentional. And when we see those moments, try to take off from there. Try to really say, let's dive in, let's see what we can do there, and kind of help make a moment, really help super serve the fans and give them an awesome experience in that moment that everyone looks back on and was like, that was it, that was the moment. So again, the best we can really do is be ready for those. We can be intentional and try to make those happen, absolutely, but sometimes, to the point of pivoting, they just organically pop up, and that's how it's like, great, that's where we should lean into more.
I'll never forget. It was Christmas like 2 years ago, and we started noticing streams go crazy. It was after Christmas. It was like February, and we started streams go crazy for a Cody Johnson song called Hat Made of Mistletoe. And we were like, why is the song popping off in like February? It has nothing to do with this timing. And we're looking at the posts, and fans had latched on, you, me, go together like mac and cheese. of all things, and it became a dance trend. And so in those moments, to the pivot point, like Cody is not someone that typically, let's say, is as personally leaned in on socials. He does have a voice there. He has a presence there. He's really connecting with the fans there. But you won't typically see like a selfie video, or he's not featuring his like everyday home life as much. That's a little bit more private. But in that moment, we had a conversation with him, and we were able to, I don't want to say convince, but able to work it out and collaborate and show the value of that moment and leaning in. And his daughters did the dance and posted it, and it did tremendously well. I know it's a really small moment, but it's those types of conversations that go a really long way for fans to see the artist leaning into something that's happening organically.
I think you guys bring up something that's important here and it's quite frankly going to be was kind of the direction next year of talking the difference of how do you be proactive and reactive at the same time, right? So much of what in the digital space is the requirement to be nimble and react, but there's still got to be a sense of planning beforehand. You can't just willy-nilly drop something out of the sky, right, and just expect it to happen. So how do you lead from in your role with your team? How do you handle those situations if you're setting up a single release or an album release, right? Like, how do you plan accordingly, but also build in there that ability to be able to be reactive, to capitalize on some momentum that you might not have been able to predict? Actually, I'll go with Fred.
Okay. It's a combination of of the two, right? You don't always want to be reactionary. You want to be open to pivoting, to be able to make that switch when it calls for it. But you want to be proactive to what's your goal. If there's no goal, it's just going to be meandering. So it's a bit of working backwards. Where do we want to get to week one? Where do we want to see the artist in 6 to 12 months from now? And how do we get there? And along the way, there's going to be surprises. Things are going to pop off. Songs are going to take off. There's going to be those moments online. So it's just being open to, it's the music business, and there's going to be a bit of chaos. It is not a straight line from point A to point B. It's up, it's down, it's all around. So it's just kind of accepting that and then responding to those moments. Again, not knowing what's going to happen, but being prepared for, okay, this popped off. Let's call up an agency. Let's get in touch with them about a campaign. Let's work with some influencers or some creators around a certain kind of moment. So again, it's just being ready for those things and knowing that they're going to happen. Honestly, good or bad, Good moment, awesome, great, love to capitalize on that. Something turns south and isn't how we envisioned it or isn't how the artist thought about it. Okay, cool, we've got plans and contingencies around that we can activate on as well. So it's really just accepting that, sure, we can have our plan, lay everything out perfectly, have a really awesome timeline, and just know once it's out in the world, it's out of our hands to a certain extent, and that there's just extra things that are going to happen.
Here we go. Okay. This is a really weird opener, but I don't think Moodang expected to be as popular as she is. And so it's things like that, that was just some moment on the internet that ultimately has taken over pop culture. Arguably, Brat would be that too. I wasn't behind the scenes on that project. I would have died to be. That seemed like so much fun. But truly, I think sometimes internally, we talk about things and we make all these plans, but we really start to ask ourselves at a certain point, this is getting really complicated and I'm getting confused on our own plans. If I'm confused, the fans are going to be confused, the artist is going to be confused. So it's odd how much it really makes sense to simplify things sometimes, and you never know what kind of legs a certain moment's going to take off. Again, specifically thinking about Brat, you guys know the font by just looking at it. I think they teased this, or the keynote today. GRAMMY U just had to use the font.
They showed up for us. What are you talking about?
I know. You see that chartreuse screen somewhere, you know what it is. But Brat makes sense because it's Charlie. And to go back to your point about being proactive or reactive, as proactive as they were, I'm sure, with a lot of those plans, I think in those moments when it really started to take off, thankfully, the demure trend started to happen at the same time. So then things started happening on a spectrum of demure to Brat and where you land on it. So I think those types of things are really, really important to capitalize on, and it's something that we're always keeping an eye on. To your point, we can be proactive and seed an artist song on all types of accounts. I can have the song attached to certain meme accounts that are really huge. But chances are a micro trend or a major trend won't happen from that, so it just depends on what the goal is from the get-go. And then I think our word of the day is pivoting, and pivot from that if we need to, based on how the fans react, and then dive in there.
I think for us, we always say like managers are managing an impossible job. There's always so many things you can be doing. So it's like, what do I prioritize? So I think it goes into, there's a ton of things you could be doing, but like, what are the things that are bring it back to authenticity, authentic to that artist, that you can make sure you double down on. So I think that's another part of being proactive, is making sure you're investing your time into what you're gonna get the best return on when you goal set. Full circle.
Well, that's perfect, Erica, because control. In a world where fans have more control than ever, how do you create meaningful interactions that foster loyalty and excitement around an album release? I'm gonna kick it back to you to keep on this kind of control.
Cool. Probably a point I want to bring up, especially as I was talking about Jelly before, is he is so authentic to who he is, and I think when he's talking about music, it really comes across that you are in his world. He basically is saying like, it's okay to not be perfect. Come along with me for the ride. So also getting on there and saying like, hey fans, I need you. Like, I need this. This is a goal of mine. Like, I want my first #1. How can we bring this to fruition together? So I think just having that narrative, I think there's amazing HQs that exist in this world. Harry Styles has an amazing HQ. So I think just making sure that you're really creating a safe and awesome fan group that feels like they're a part of something is the best thing that you could do.
Yeah, I think talking about community, right? You know, folks want to connect. They want to connect over something they love. And when we look at things, we try to put ourselves in y'all's shoes on the other side of the screen, on the other side of the stage, all of that, of just, is that an impactful moment? Are we just trying to be too cute? Do we need this, that, and the other thing, flashing lights, all that? Or do people just want to connect and listen to a song together? I mean, we do plenty of online listening parties. People are all around the world in the country. They just want to hang out with other folks, you know, looking at things like Discord or other spaces like a Melomaniac or something, or Spotify's listening, or Amazon's listening. You know, it's all out there to kind of just connect over and talk about. And so really those community moments when folks are connecting, those are the biggest thing. You know, Luke Combs' fan club, it's a big thing where people are still meeting up in the parking lots. That's where it started back in the 80s and the 70s, and before all of us were kind of born at some point, or most of y'all, of just hanging out in the parking lot, you know, listening to music, having a beverage, and just chilling. And that was community. And now it's online, and everyone's splintered. But again, the impactful things that we feel when we go to shows, and you know, that song is being played, and everyone's just vibing in the moment. That's what we try to recreate the best you can, and that's community.
I would also add to that I think like artists sometimes can underestimate how a reply in the comments will go so far. You know, like really, really keeping it simple here, the email list, the SMS, sending exclusives, like we talk about different levels of fandom. There's the discovery, which is blasting something out on TikTok and you don't know whose For You page it's gonna land on, all the way down to the fans that have been there since day one, who did sign up for your pre-sale. How are you super serving them? So a lot of times it is like, they get a merch piece exclusive to the email list. They get to see the music video before anybody else. So truly developing those core fans. We have a developing artist, her name's Avriana. Plug, everybody go follow her. Avriana's super, super incredible at this. At her show, she has fans write let go letters, and they literally come to the show with these letters full of things that they've been through that they just want to let go of. And then simply handing her the letter and knowing that some of their deepest, darkest things are kept with the artist is such a level of trust that I don't even know if I have, you know, that I would give a letter like that to a family member potentially, you know? So it's those types of things that go really, really far between being online and in person at shows and things.
That's great. That's great. Well, that's going to take me kind of we'll pivot to a little bit of a little different direction here on looking at it now from the artist perspective. So artists often face pressure to stick with proven strategies. How do you convince your companies to take risk on unconventional ideas, especially when the outcome is uncertain? And I mean, we're talking about the digital space here, right? So you are not only speaking to from, you know, where the artists are getting pressure from all their multiple entities, right? Of not just whether it's a label, their manager, whomever, right, is involved, but also you. You all have to report to somebody, right? And there is a larger plan in place where everybody has to be playing nice in the sandbox together. So with that being said, Bree, I'll kick it over to you first, and I'll just, do you need me to reiterate?
I think I got it.
Okay.
I think I'm going to take this one to a little bit of a different angle in the way that I think a lot of you will probably be. If you're not pursuing the artist angle, you're probably looking at working in the industry. I cannot begin to express to you how important the culture at your company is. I'm very grateful to be somewhere where we're not afraid to flop, we're not afraid to fail. And my particular manager, shout out Brooke, my particular manager, we can go to her and say, hey, I think this is a really cool idea. And before she says no, we're talking about why and what we think would work, what's happening in the landscape, that this makes sense, has it been tried before? And we love to be the first to do anything. That being said, it's why Jeffree Star was at our CMA Fest party. We just walked up to her and we said, hey, he's in Nashville, can we DM him? She's like, sure. And Jeffree Star came to our CMA Fest party. It's those types of things that just in the moment we're like, you know, that's something that maybe you wouldn't see in the country lane, and then 3 weeks later, he's using Redfairn's song on a TikTok post, and it pops off. So it's those types of things. I would be very curious to know what Nutter Butter's company's culture is like. Like, clearly that idea was pitched somewhere. So yeah, I would say it kind of roots back to, like, make sure that when you go into a company, you're actually asking these questions in your interviews. I think that you guys bring such incredible perspective, and all of our For You pages look different. So, like, bring those ideas to the table, because, you know, you can then see if that's the place that you think that your ideas would be able to thrive.
Yeah, I mean, one thing you said I live by, my team tries to live by, is you're gonna fail, and it's gonna happen, and you just shouldn't be afraid of it, and you should probably embrace it. That's not to say go into something without a plan or wanting to achieve something, because that is definitely a goal, and you want to achieve, and there's things that need to get done. But just know everything isn't going to work out, and that's okay. If you're doing what you did 2 months ago, 2 years ago, 2 weeks ago at this point in the digital space, you're kind of already behind the ball, and that's kind of essentially failing. If you're not pushing forward, you're really failing off the bat. So if you're not trying to do something that hasn't been done, or be first in the space, or create that kind of moment, I'm honestly not sure why you might be in this industry. You know, this is something where it is culture setting. It's changing things. It's y'all wearing that green color and that font. You know, like, that is what it's about. And if you're not willing to try to go there, you're not really going to be remembered. So, I mean, what is really the point there? So, yeah, you know, with that, it's, you know, take your risks, but be intentional with those risks. And also, again, we have a team. You got a business, a company, you have an artist, managers. There's a whole team also depending on all of things to hit and to make sure we're meeting those marks. So, you know, if we're going to take those risks, go for it and go really hard. But, you know, make sure that everything else is buttoned up and taken care of. You know, you don't want to just, you know, go all out and just say, this is it. This is all or nothing. You know, definitely shoot towards that and try really, really hard to make those moments go. But, you know, make sure you still have your plan and your team taken care of at the end of the day. Because with artists, definitely, we're being respectful and we're working with their art. We want them to trust us with their ideas when they bring them new things. And I've found over a career, they're willing to take those chances with you if, you know, you can just show that they can trust you and the respect you have for them and why you're trying to do something.
Yeah, I think at mtheory, I'm also very lucky. We are open ideas. I work with insanely intelligent people that they think of the most amazing ideas, so I'm very, very lucky to be at mtheory. But also, part of mtheory, it's called Z Theory. So it's basically Gen Z employees that meet up. We do brainstorms. It's a really awesome time to also give a fresh perspective from that generation. I'm a millennial, so, you know, But we do that. Also, I think, you know, at mtheory, we always want to work for the artists. We're very artist-centric people. We want to make sure that we're always thinking of them. And if you want to go independent, sorry, close your ears. It's possible. You can do it. We work with Ash. She has an album, Wilson, that's incredible, that you need to listen to. You know, mtheory, Sean, her manager, everyone involved in that project. It's just the culmination of smart people. And I think working on projects like that makes me proud to go to work every day.
Well, you guys have all kind of brought up or under the similar lines about taking risks, right? Trying, not, being afraid to fail. Does anybody have a good example of a time where you or your team strategized and ultimately thought it was a great idea, but maybe it flopped, but maybe something else came out of it too?
It's actually really funny you bring that up. We talk a little bit about teaser burnout a bit at our office, and I think it became just a thing on TikTok to see if a certain thing goes viral, if you have to post about it a certain amount of times. And we delivered a teaser for an artist 4 weeks, the audio itself. You have to deliver the audio, by the way, sometimes. And so we delivered the audio 4 weeks in advance, and the artist started teasing it and teasing it. The comments and the fan sentiment coming in was like, okay, we're exhausted. Can you give us another part of the song? If you post this one more time, I swear to God. They are just, they were excited about it, but it was getting to the point of fatigue. And so I had a conversation with the artist where I said, what if you just pull back the curtain a little bit and tell them where you are in the process of releasing the song? Just tell them where you're at. If you still have to get art done, if you still have to finish up the vocals on the other part that you do want to share, whatever it is, pull back that curtain a little bit. And he did that post, and it did really, really well. And the fan sentiment you saw it kind of flip, especially within those core fans. And then we, by then, had already been planning for another part of the song to start teasing to kind of refresh them. And that was part of the conversation was, okay, I'll give you guys another part, but this is where I'm at, so know that this is why I'm not releasing it just in this exact moment. So I think sometimes try and get too editorial with it and too obscure, and you kind of lose that connection.
Great example.
Yeah, I think somewhat similarly, at Sony Nashville, we have a wide range of artists, right? From Luke and Megan to our younger folks like Ben Goldsmith and Kaylee Green and Dylan Marlowe, who just put out his debut record last Friday. And they're really always trying to develop their voice. They don't come out just ready to go. Some folks, sure, they know exactly what they want to say, when they want to say it, how they want to say it, and what font and color they would like to say it. But that is not everybody, and it's going to take a journey to get to where you know how you want every Instagram caption to be written and everything on X or on insert platform name here that you'd like things to be written. So we've definitely gone down the path with artists before, trying to find that voice, try ideas out, see what hit, see what didn't hit, and deal with the, wow, that didn't get as many views as I liked, I'm going to delete it, or, oh, that didn't really take off as much as I was hoping, I don't know, do I look stupid or something? And we like to try to flip that and say, cool, maybe that didn't get your 150, 200,000 views on there, but that got 30, 40,000 views on there. And those are your core fans that love what you do no matter what you're doing. And doubling down on what fans just love everything and are along for the ride and are those super fans that really are just consuming every single thing you're doing and working from there and just knowing every fan is important. And sure, if it didn't reach some wide amount of people, we'll figure out why. Maybe we'll plan better. Maybe we'll change some of the content. But just also understanding you can take some learning points from there. Maybe there was a great idea. Maybe we can pivot. We're really saying pivot a lot tonight. But it's a great term. And yeah, just trying to understand and take learnings from what happened. With anything you do, data, content ideas, there's always two things. What happened and what can we do better next time? And you can always learn from it.
Yeah, I think on the DSP side, I think one of the things that we run into as well is single fatigue. Our job is to tell a narrative and to, in a lot of ways, get a body of work out into the world. And I think just always having a narrative or what is the point of this? It goes back to our conversation about goals and making sure that we have something in mind for that final product. So yeah, I would say that would be my biggest thing is just making sure we're building out a cadence. We always love what are those marketing moments that's really going to build out a campaign. We work backwards where you can goal set for 10 years, 5 years, and the next year with the artist. And then I think it kind of goes back to your question about being proactive, but then it kind of, you take a little bit of the risk out of some of that because you've figured it out along the way. I'm getting to that, that's my goal. And kind of working backwards. So I think it kind of helps. But I will say release cadence is kind of one of the things that you learn along the way.
That's great insight. All right, well, this is going to be a little bit of what I would say is, quite frankly, in my wheelhouse. So I know that I have worked with all three of you in a capacity in the influencer space. So as you know, influencer marketing has become a huge phenomenon. How do you identify and approach influencer collaborations to ensure they feel authentic while keeping music at the forefront? I'm actually going to start with Fred on this one.
Sure. Variety of ways, right? When we look to work with creators or influencers, we're not really of the mindset usually of, hey, here's the creative, go do this idea. If we want to work with someone, it's because they're creating great content, they know how to speak to their audience, and honestly, I don't care what the following size is. If there's an engagement, if there's an audience there, again, it's all very important. So we like to work with a lot of folks. We think it's very creative and fun. Prior to being at Sony Nashville, I was over at Twitch for a bit. Shout out. And I was watching folks just create and having fun and not being shy to try different things. And I love the creator space. I really love that kind of mentality of let me create for my audience, build my own world, and kind of go from there. So, with our artists' songs and the music that they're putting out there, there's that kind of straight ahead approach of here's the song, here's the promo for it, let's find creators there, but also kind of giving that kind of cinematic universe to let's have people just create with it and have fun. Again, everyone in here could listen to the same song and have a different experience with it. So letting the creators do that, that's the most authentic thing that we can do. We love to engage folks online. We also love bringing people out to shows. I mean, that's the best thing, seeing people there having fun. I mean, over the summer with Luke Combs, we had an insane amount of folks out. We had the Toast folks out in New York. We had just a ton of people. It was really, really great to see. So we love to engage with those types of folks. And again, it's what we're paying attention to when we see those trends pop up. Those creators creating with that song, that's where we start to, again, be reactive to what's kind of happening, with our music in the marketplace.
Yeah, I think for us it is, find like we have the most success when we see a trend that we say popping off or we see something that connects. Going back to Ash, there was her song Ash was having a moment on short form. So we're seeing like these really cute collages that people are putting together. And so I think it was just something like the team did a really great job of just saying like, this is a moment, this should be something that we really make sure we're nurturing fans to do. So I think it just kind of is something, if it's connecting and it's working, sure, yeah, let's go.
Yeah, I'll jump in there too. I think our artists are kind of expected to be creators in their own right too now, so there's a little bit of a value exchange there. There's truly a place for sound campaigns, which are some of the things we're describing where we're just paying a creator to use an artist's sound on their post. There's a place for that. However, the ethos of a lot of the things that I do in my role is to try and take it that extra level and that extra next step. So for example, Avery Ann, I'm gonna bring her back up again here. I don't know if you guys follow Adrian Nunez. He has like 6 million plus TikTok followers. I was connecting with his manager over a couple things, and he organically posted about Avery's song. And I reached out to him and I was like, do you wanna just like get them together? If he's like doing stuff in his car, she should be with him. He's like, sure. Next 2 days, they were out in front of our office and they knocked out 16 pieces of content together because they just had a blast. Some of that content outperformed any creator campaign that we had otherwise ran. From there, they did their own content. They became best friends. They started doing their own content shoots that I had no place. I didn't set up. I didn't do anything for them. And now full circle, Adrian's starting to do. He's starting to do his own music. And Avery's the first feature on one of his tracks that came out last Friday. So it's truly just such a full circle moment. Starting from that car video, we started to see other artists in the country space start to get in his car too. So it was really fun to kind of start a trend in the country space in that way too.
I would love for you guys to maybe expand a little bit on how you identify and assess the effectiveness. So getting a little more granular here, but what are those key indicators that you're looking at when you're in the heat of one of these campaigns, working with, these influencers in this space? Somebody want to jump in first?
Yes, because all these campaigns tend to roll through me if they're working with our artists' music. It depends on what our goal is truly. I know that's kind of a blanket answer, but if the goal is to get this song out there and to more people's pages. Maybe we are going for a larger following on meme pages and just like pushing impressions and looking at it kind of almost like advertising, to be honest. Or maybe it's the case where we want to double down with an artist, like this Avery Adrian example I just shared. We know that worked, and so it's like maybe we try and replicate it. It didn't perform as well with some other artists. There's just sometimes that chemistry that you can't recreate. We do look across all metrics, but it depends on like what the goal of it is. Typically, we're looking at UGC if there's a user-generated content. If we're looking at a micro trend, we're looking at how things are populating in the sound. If there's some similar trend happening, even if it's like 500 creates under the sound, but 200 of them are kind of following a similar narrative, that's telling us something. So we'll want to double down on that. But yeah, the metrics just really depend on the investment of it and how big an artist is. It depends on what the goal is. Do they have opportunities to invite creators out? I mean, it's a really nuanced conversation. So we just kind of look at it all very differently depending on what type of campaign it is and what the goals of the campaign are.
Yeah, I'll bucket it with the business and the lifestyle side, right? Where on the business, at the end of the day, it's consumption. It's streams. Did we do a campaign? Did we see an uptick online on DSPs? That's great. That's the ultimate goal. That's what we're shooting for. I mean, that is the business at the end of the day, right? Did we grow their following? Was there kind of an uptick on socials as well? Did we see that user-generated content spike? On the other side of it, there's just cool shit, okay? And that's a measurable stat of just like, did we just do something that was cool, that built their world, that raised their profile? And that's also really important to us too. Over the summer, Luke was super busy with a record and had a song on the Twister soundtrack, and we were just doing campaigns to just lift up who he is as a person. I mean, pretty big already, but can kind of still grow those moments. I mean, he was coming off a Grammy performance of Fast Car and, doing it with Tracy Chapman Live. How do we continue to grow his aura out of Nashville? With Dylan Marlowe, we did a advertising or a creator campaign with a sports player, and we just took a bet that we're going to go all in, very expensive spend on this one athlete, and he's going into a bowl game, and it's going to work out. And it was kind of a little bit like sports betting, but he wound up being the MVP of the game. His team won, and we just made the right choice there. And was that measurable? Not necessarily, but it was cool to do. It was an idea to kind of chase, and it gave us some cool visibility. So again, the business balanced with the cool shit, very measurable, I promise.
Yeah, I would say in the influencer space, we look at creates because I think that shows like intention to interact. But to your point, sometimes perception's really cool. And like getting a billboard and making something feel really big, like outside of influencer marketing, who you're attaching yourself with, billboards, it's awesome and it's a cool thing to post about.
Well, and Erica, I'm going to tee you up just because of your, as you are having those conversations with your DSP partners or in other respects, is this a complement to those conversations when you were talking about, outside of the, when you are sitting down and having those, are these metrics and things that are being discussed in those meetings as well?
I think everything feeds each other, right? So like you want to make sure that everything's connecting, everything's working. If I'm having a conversation with a DSP partner, I want to make sure like, hey, they're on the road, they're working this music. Oh, also they have a late night performance. Oh, every element to this matters. It's about visibility, making sure that people are streaming on that platform. I always say we need to be a good partner. Artists should be talking about where fans can listen to their music. And it's a little give and take. And I think that when everything's connecting, it makes a really good, story.
It's great. Kind of expand upon this. How do you know when you've made a true impact? Right? Like you're doing this. We just talked about kind of we're talking about the things, right? The consumption, absolutely. That's always a goal, right? Like a lot of those creating a cultural moment. But what would you define as honestly making what you would define as a true impact? And if you have an example, that would be great.
Yeah, one for us this summer, Megan Maroney was out on tour with Kenny Chesney, a really, really awesome tour all around, top to bottom, amazing bill. But watching, the little, cowgirls come in their boots and in their blue dresses and everything very on brand, we're like, okay, something's happening. We're here at a Kenny show, and this is happening. We're used to it at her shows. We're used to the lines around the corner, everyone dressed up heads to toe. It's awesome. And that is, I'm not just posting something online. I'm not just sending, a friend a message to check it out. I am living and looking the part. Again, see the brat green in here? I get it. So it's really when you can kind of see it and feel it and touch it, that is a huge, huge impact. Same online when you just kind of, you're scrolling through and everything is just like, wow, I'm hearing this song a lot. It's a lot of creations, and my For You page is just filled with those types of things. So, it's really kind of a balance of those two things, but it's nothing like starting a campaign online and seeing it take off, in the real world for sure.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because I think we talk a lot. We all work in digital, so how are we not going to talk about virality? But I think you bring up a really, really good point that I think it's based on like the community, and like sometimes it's not as fun as some like kitschy song that's like great to dance to and vibe to, but it's like something really deep that people resonate with, and people start to share their stories with the artist, and they see themselves in a song. Like those types of moments are so, so, so important, and you can't really capture them with UGC as often, because it's rare that people feel just as vulnerable to put themselves out there. I haven't seen, somebody seriously correct me if I'm wrong, I haven't seen like a macro trend that's like not fun. A lot of them, like I haven't seen something that's just like really, really popped off and really kind of like stabbed you in the heart a little bit, So I think like those types of moments are really, really important when we're talking about impact, especially as it pertains to like mental health or anything where we're getting even nonprofits involved. That type of work is just as important when an artist is using their platform.
Yeah, I think for me, whenever you're working with an artist where you started with them when they were developing, I remember we started with Tyler Childers when he was still playing club shows, and to see the rise and to see how he's stayed so true to himself, and how you think that he's put out the best project of his life and he gets better and better, and it's so annoying because I have no skills compared to that man. That's something to be really proud of, and because you're help create a career that has longevity, and we work with really great people, really great managers, great artists, and I think that's really fun to say.
Well, I think that's a good segue into refocusing back a little bit around the artist. How can disruptive music marketing strategies help in creating a unique world or character around an artist, similar to what we've seen with Charlie Spratt?
Brat wouldn't have worked for anybody else but Charlie. Like it has to be, we were talking about this backstage too, like if we're in the driver's seat, if we're telling an artist like this is what your project should be and how it should sound, and this is the way you should like create a character within your own world, then we're basically saying we're the artist. You know what I mean? Like they have to have that vision, and then we build around it. So arguably a lot of it comes down to the relationship you have with the artist to kind of pull those things out, and taking it back to making sure that it's completely authentic to them, and can't just create a character out of something that's like not who the artist is. So yeah, like to be in the room, I'm sure with Charlie, as we're talking about Brat Summer, it's like she is Brat Summer, and thankfully people felt pulled to that and could identify with that, but it made sense because it was her. Yeah.
Yeah, as I was saying before, we get to help steward along these artists' great work, and there's a load of responsibility with that, but there's also the lean-in that we can provide to help realize their vision. And I'm sure you have all seen a campaign that did not feel like the artist, or the artist didn't seem super engaged and didn't love it, and we're going after a certain angle. And that's hard. When you're trying to pull blood from a stone, it's not fun for us either. We're in this space, we're, in the offices because we're not the artists, and that's great. I love, that they do that, and I do my thing, we do our thing, and that's awesome, and there's a great role for that. It is somewhat similar to sports. Everyone plays their positions, does very well, but, there's one superstar, and how do we kind of help super serve them the best that we can? And that's different with every artist. What do they need? Do they need more ideation? Do they need more kind of see-through as far as getting things done? Do they need help with socials and online? They've got their day job. They are a musician. They've got a lot of responsibility to do and to go out and perform for everybody every night. And it's just how do we kind of plug in to help them achieve that? And sometimes it's just, hey, their website works and that's great and they can take care of everything else. Other times it's more things than that. But again, it's just kind of, like you were saying, just working hand in hand with them and making sure that what they want, is achievable, is doable.
I was going to say the same thing.
Well, that's all right. Perfect. Looking ahead, what emerging technologies or trends do you believe will significantly shape the future of music marketing? How can we prepare to embrace these changes?
I think the fact that the artist is in the driver's seat is incredible. There's so many ways to reach your fans nowadays. We were talking backstage too that like back in the day, like artists had to like handwrite letters and everything was so hard to reach your fan base and to try to build the fandom, and you'd be on the road all the time. And even though there's still something to that, but there's also something cool about like, oh, I get to like pop in and see like what my favorite artist is having for breakfast that morning, or like what is that like to like jump from Global Citizen to SNL and then like not sleep for 24 hours. I don't know who did that, Jelly Roll. So yeah, I think that there's so many tools now, and I think there's so many ways. We're huge on, fan acquisition, bringing people into the fold. You want to know who your fans are. There's, companies like, like a set.live or something like that you can actually actively, get the fans' information. So I think anything that we can gather data on fans and do a better job of serving back to help the artist is always a plus for us.
Yeah, I mean, love that. Love data. If you are an artist or you're doing something creative out there, make sure you're getting a way to talk directly to your fans. Super, super important. And to that point, artists are in the driver's seat, but fans are as well. They know how they want to talk, how they want to communicate. I will never probably create a very serious piece of content around a song and post it to my personal socials. That is not me. But, I'm still sending messages, DMing people, talking in, private communities like a Discord channel or in my Instagram DMs and talking about my favorite artists. And it's on our job on the label, on the business side, to figure out, where are those communities popping up? How do we super serve them? We want to give fans a good experience. We don't want to say, hey, give us this and, nothing in return. We want to really help those communities flourish. Because again, it's not completely on us to create those moments, but kind of help those moments kind of flourish, give you all the tools to kind of connect and talk whenever and however you really want to.
Yeah. I think what won't go away, is, to your point, is meeting fans where they are. And a lot of times where they are on certain platforms. So it's going to be your TikTok, it's going to be your Snap, it's going to be, for now, Instagram, Discord is, for certain communities. It depends on where they are. And to be honest, a lot of it depends on what resources those platforms give us in terms of disrupting and new technology. So, for example, TikTok just launched the ability to have some artists have their albums pre-saved on TikTok. We just launched that with Cody Johnson. He's got an album coming in November. And now you can go to his TikTok profile and you can hit a button that you can pre-save his album on Spotify through TikTok without going all the way through the process. So those types of things are just, I'm curious to see if we see any kind of change in conversion or anything, or it'll depend on what things look like after that campaign wraps, but that's a brand new capability that we didn't have a month ago. Really, I think that's when it started getting talked about. So it depends, I think, on where our platforms are and how we're relying on them and what tools they're giving us to utilize.
I mean, to that pre-save point, we're doing a lot with gaming. We just did an activation with Roblox, and if you were in the game, and it was with our artist Ben Goldsmith, and if you pre-saved the album and signed up for his email list, you got an exclusive item within Roblox, and it was a guitar case with his actual bulldog, Bubba, on his back, bursting out of it, and you got to keep it. So it was just kind of those moments, again, of fans are playing Roblox, fans are gaming, I love the game. I know my fiance is watching, just being like, yeah, you game a lot. But, it's a fun way to connect. You hang out with your friends. Again, it's community. Serving that community, even though Ben wasn't a massive gamer, was just a kind of cool way to say, hey, I see where all my fans are at. And I want to give you cool experiences and world build out there as well.
Do you have anything else you want to add before I move to my final question for the three of you? This question is also for more or less for all of your ears as well. For our members who may be looking to release their first album, do you have any advice on simple things they can do to make the biggest impact and get the word out on their albums. Bree, I'll start with you.
Yeah, know who you are and start to see who's reacting to your things and see if they fall within a certain niche or category. Like, really know who your audience is. If you're talking to everyone, you're talking to no one, is kind of the phrase. So truly, truly have a brand identity, have a vision, stay creative, and those things will connect. I think if you're staying true to yourself, then you can't really do much wrong. I think, again, we talk a lot about virality, but if you're just watching the numbers, then it's just what kind of community are you actually building? If you're focused on building like a really tight-knit community, those numbers will come. So stay in there for the race. Your first album might pop off. Your first album might not. And and then you stay tuned to yourself and see what happens with your next few releases. And who knows, you might be 3 albums down the line and all of a sudden something on your first album starts to go viral. Like, it's just, it depends on where it goes, but at least like pay attention to those core fans and who's starting to follow you right off the bat.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Consistency, sticking with it, 1,000-hour type of mentality of what it takes to master something. It takes a while to get where you want to go. Where you're starting now isn't where you ideally want to be in 6 months and 12 months from now. And also along the way, stop comparing yourself to other people. Comparison is the theft of joy, and you're going to look at why is something popping off there, why are there likes there, what are they doing that I'm not? That's fine. You're not them. Everyone's an individual. Charlie is Charlie. Luke Combs is Luke Combs. Megan is Megan, And you can have your influencers, and you can have ideas, and, take ideas and everything's copied and borrowed. That's fine. Steal, do whatever you want, make it yourself. But, again, focus on yourself, on that consistency angle, on where you want to get to, where you see yourself, have that vision there, and just keep driving forward. Because, again, you never know when it's going to pop off. I mean, I feel like you've got someone that has taken a route to get there, and then, look at them now. And same with a lot of the artists that I work with, which is great. I mean, Kane Brown has worked a really, really long time and released a lot of records, but I mean, he was just doing covers online when he started. That's not the superstar that's doing stadiums today by any means. So consistency, and again, kind of tunnel vision. Just focus on where you want to get to, and someone else's experience is not your experience.
Yeah, off of that, I would say that there's a lot of years that you don't see. So I feel like there's a lot of times where it feels like it's so much easier for other people, or it's such an overnight success thing. But it takes a lot of years, and it takes a lot of fails and wins on the board to get there. But the one thing I was going to say with like my DSP cap on is that I think it's really important to also educate yourself on platforms. Make sure you're following like Spotify for artists, Amazon's analytics platform, Apple's analytics platform, their socials, follow them on Instagram. Anything that's important to a partner is probably something you should be doing. If they're talking about clips, if they're talking about shorts, like make sure that you're prioritizing that as an artist and you're using those tools. And also, there's no such thing as like posting too much. Like, I know people have questions all the time, like how many shorts is actually enough shorts, or how many clips is enough clips. And I think just make sure it's a part of your mission, the goals that you're trying to reach, and you're working, you're working on doing one more every day, or making sure that you're thinking of ideas. And just because you've posted about it once, I feel like we all kind of deal with it. Like the algorithm can sometimes be in your favor, sometimes not. So like, just post about it again and get creative, and like Bree was saying, like make it fun. This is supposed to be fun. Like, we have the coolest jobs ever. So, yeah.
Well, thank you all. Really appreciate you guys coming out tonight and to share your insights with everybody here and at home live streaming this evening. With that being said, everybody in the audience and that is also streaming online, we will be back in 30 minutes on stage. So please stand by for, and make sure to keep watching to hear for your future friends and network on GRAMMY U Live coming up now.